Okay, we are back with our Firecracker Dress Sew Along by Anna Lane. We have done our straps and our front bodice, and now we are going to do our back bodice and attaching that. So we are all ready. So I actually have my bodice and my straps with the top of the straps facing towards me, and then we are going to attach the bottom back skirt. So what you're going to do is it's going to be right sides together, and so you're just going to match up, you know, your right sides together, starting at the one corner of the strap here. No stretching, just match it up. And then on to the other side the same way. All right. So then we will go to the serger, sewing machine, whichever one you're using, and go ahead and sew them on. So what I actually do is, let me get, here we go. What I actually do when I sew this, my backs together, because you really only need to sew to the end of the strap if you want. It's again completely up to you, but what I actually do is I just sew right through instead of starting and stopping and messing with all that. So it's what you want to do. If you want to start and stop at the end of that strap, go ahead. It's just quicker, I find, just to do it this way. So up to you. Okay, so now we have our back skirt piece and our straps attached. So what we're going to do is going to bring our iron up here, and I'm just going to press the seams real quick, and then we'll move on to the sewing machine. I just like to press the seams here. Just got a lot of stuff on my table today. Okay, I'm not going to slide the iron far because we need that here real quick. So we have our sewing machine here. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to set it at a 3.5 inch straight stitch. And what we're going to do is we have our back straps and our bottom of our back bodice. And we're still going to have them right sides together like we did when we sewed them together, and we're going to sew with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, a 1/2 inch. This is helping us make our casing for our elastic in our back. So a 1/2 inch. I know where a 1/2 inch is on my sewing machine. There's usually markers here and your needle position and everything like that. So it's kind of that 1/2 inch seam allowance here on both sides. Other side here. Again, that 1/2 inch. And we're only sewing that 1/2 inch to the end of the strap. Okay, move the sewing machine. Bring our iron back into place here. So now we're making the casing for our elastic. And we made that 1/2 inch there. So that's how far we're going to press all along the back. So we have, you know, the back here where we did it. And then we also have to do the 1/2 inch across just the back bodice where there's no straps. Give it a good, I just usually give it a good pressing, and don't mess with pins or clips, but it's what you're comfortable with and what you want to do. So I don't tend to, I just give it a pressing and then call it good. And I can see where that press line is, and so see if you give it a good pressing, you can kind of tell, and that crease stays, so you don't really need to pin it. But again, what you're comfortable with. So we have our, now we're going to bring back our sewing machine here. And now we are going to make the casing for our elastic. So you'll want to sew as close to the edge as possible, about 1/8 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch. 1/4 of an inch would be fine. Just make sure that you leave enough room to feed the elastic through here. So, and that's another reason, kind of a nice reason why I do my serger. I keep my serger through. It kind of gives me a nice guideline on where I can sew, kind of where that 1/4 of an inch seam allowance is too. All right. So we're not quite done with our sewing machine yet, but I am going to move it out of the way so we can do our elastic. We're moving on to our elastic. And I kind of wanted to talk about the elastic and what I do and how I feed it through. Let me grab my safety pin here. I use a safety pin because a lot of bodkins I found that feed elastic for this 1/4 inch casing is a little too small, and I really like kind of that small safety pin. Let me go grab my elastic and I'll talk about the elastic too. Okay, so we have our elastic here. I'm getting a big roll. Hobby Lobby, Joann's, whatever. So what I actually do with the elastic before I measure it out is I give it some pretty good couple, I kind of give it some tugs here just because elastic, yes, does bounce back, but gives it a little tugs because it doesn't bounce back completely after, you know, after those first couple tugs it does. But then it doesn't. So when I cut the elastic, I just kind of know what a good size is for my daughter. It's up to you. I'm making a 5T width with a 6T length. So a 5T elastic is 10 inches, but she's still kind of slender, kind of in that area. So I just cut it at 9.5. It seems to be a good fit for her. And this is, I only know this because I've made several and I've just tested it out. You stick with the standard sizes and it works great, but this is just kind of comfortable for her and everything like that. So that's what I do. So we got our elastic and now we're going to attach our safety pin here and feed it through our casing. So when you're starting it off, remember we made that casing. So what you want to do, we had our, because you kind of have several layers right here. So what you want to make sure you're doing is there's the back strap and then there's the folded over portion and then this top portion here, that's where you want to go in between. You want to go in between this top layer and the folded over portion. That's your casing. And then just pull it through. Okay. So we're gonna work this through here. Now, when you're pulling it through, be careful and don't pull it all the way through because we'll want to real quick secure it and then finish pulling it through. So give it a couple more. All right. And so I always leave a little overhanging also. When I'm securing it, it's just less likely to kind of slip out and pull out. If you would sew right to the edge, it could pull out and then you would have to seam rip and do all that, and that's not ever fun. So a little bit more here. Okay, so just gonna go over it here real quick with my sewing machine. I'm gonna leave the sewing machine right here because we're just gonna pull the rest of our elastic through. And secure it on that side too. Take my safety pin out. Okay. And again, leave it hanging out about, quarter of an inch. That way, you kind of know it's gonna down to that sewing machine. Pedal out of the way. Okay, so we have our elastic all attached. So we're so close to being done. I guess I should mention I am doing the skirt portion. There is going to be another video on, because we do have the romper add-on, so you can make this into a romper. So super cute. So we have the romper. I'm doing the skirt right now, so we're gonna just go ahead and finish. We're so close to being done. We just have to do our side seams and then our hem, and we'll be all done. So super exciting. I probably won't, will probably just sew up the side seams real quick because I want to show you kind of how, you know, because we sewed part of the side seam already. So we'll do that. I probably won't show you hemming. I can, if you would like to, I just use my cover stitch on hemming. So, it's pretty simple and basic on the cover stitch. You just press up just like the instructions say, so the instructions are really detailed and everything like that. But if you always have questions, join our sew along group, and we're more than happy to answer them, or even on our main Facebook page. It's up to you. Anna Lane Patterns. So remember, we already have our side seams, part of our side seams sewn here. And so I just kind of start at the bottom, make sure my bottoms match up. And how many pins or clips or whatever you would like to use is fine. It's up to you. All right, let's go on over here and get those side seams sewn up. Okay, so you remember we had to sew a portion of our side seam in order to get the rest of our bands attached. So I just kind of start like 1/2 inch or 1 inch above where that stitching ends, and kind of start a new one here. And then remember, we got our elastic, so you want to make sure you're catching your elastic in there. It's kind of why we left a little overhanging, so if you have to cut off some of that with your knife, that is fine too. Remember, 1/4 inch of a seam allowance. And then also we have a optional ruffle that you can do. I will actually have another video on that, on doing the optional ruffle, because I'm not adding a ruffle to this one. But I love making firecrackers. They're so fun, and really quick. So it's great, and they're a wonderful summer staple. So because they can be a top, they can be a dress, like an above the knee, and then we even have the maxi option. Have the romper option, not option, and that's an add-on. The romper is an add-on, but lots of different choices here. Okay, So we are almost so close to being done. Okay, again, because we have a serger tail, kind of a serger end, not caught in a seam or at the end. How you want to finish that off is fine. Tie it in a knot, fray check, whatever you want to do. Like I said, since I use the stretch thread, after a washing, it just kind of mats up and I've not had any problems. So it's really nice. All right, look at that. We got our Firecracker dress almost done. We'll just go on in him and you are all done. Remember to check out our construction on how to do the straps and the front bodice. If you have any questions, join our sew along group, Elaine Pattern Sew Alongs. We're gonna do the romper edition or the add-on here, so there'll be another version with the romper. All right, thank you.